So let's talk about articulation. Specifically, articulations are these markings that you see over individual notes that tell us how those notes should sound. So we've got a different mark on each of these, and they each transform the way that note should be played. For example, our first note here has a staccato, so this sounds like this. Light, separated. This is a tenuto. It's a long sounding note. This is an accent. It's an extra strong sounding note. And this is a housetop accent or marcato, which means to play it extra strong and also a little bit shorter. So we've got these different examples of articulations, and these will show up in your music in all kinds of different combinations. Most of the time, students just ignore these until the band director says, hey, look at those things. What does that mean? And then the students go, I don't know, I was just playing my E or I was just playing my G. Like usually we're looking at these notes, but look, these notes all look exactly the same. So articulation is a whole different deal. These sound way different. Here they are 4 in a row. So we've got 4 completely different sounding notes, but they look the same if you're just staring at the quarter note. So that means we have to notice these articulations when they come up in our music because they will completely change the sound and feel of what you play. Now, as we talk about articulations, I think it's super important to talk about note shape. And I use note shapes because it's easier to visualize what a note will actually sound like. So a quarter note doesn't actually sound like it looks. But if I play a quarter note, it does sound kind of like this rectangle. It's got a strong start, it's got a finish, and it's got some sound in the middle. And those sections have a name. So we have, here we go. We have the middle of the note, which is the core. We have the beginning of the note, which is the attack. And somewhere over here, we have the end of the note, which is called the release. So every note has an attack. Every note has a core, and it doesn't have to be this shape, but it always has some sound. And then every note has a release at the end. And this is what notes actually sound like. Okay, cool. So I call this shape a brick because it looks like a brick and it needs to be strong like a brick. So if I have some long bricks next to each other, those end up connected because they're touching like this. Watch again. Or I can have some shorter bricks that are going to be, a good sound but separated. So bricks are kind of our general note shape, and they usually sound good as long as they have a nice, strong, clear tone. But there's 2 other shapes I like to talk about: sticks, which would be a very short note, and wedges, which would be a note that is changing volume as you play it. So a stick might sound like this, like staccato, and a wedge might be kind of like we play an accent, where it dies away. Or this could even be something we're playing long. But that has more to do with dynamics. So we're talking about articulation, which is how a note should actually sound. And I really like to use note shapes when we talk about these different articulations. Because again, a note shape is a better way to see what a note really sounds like.